But it was a good experience, and it was lovely to get feedback from people afterwards, and it was more or less resoundingly positive feedback. We had, I think there was one reviewer who had issues with the gay storyline, but I think, you know, that is going to happen, and you're going to have to, if you're dealing with certain issues, things around sex, things about sexuality, you're always going to get that.
And it's a modern issue. I'm sure that the characters are not the only ones who ever experience that sort of a surprise and a revelation in relationships.
Exactly, exactly. There is a story I can tell you. This is from the Camden Fringe. This is from last August. So the stage, we always warn that there may be nudity in the stage play, because there's a moment that, well, there is some, I do go topless in the stage play. So, but there is a moment where Rob has just a throw wrapped around him. And we were concerned that if the throw dropped, he would be naked. So we wanted to cover ourselves, and the theatre suggested that we put something in our promotional material just to say there's a possibility, you know, there could be brief nudity. So we did. And one night we had a lady come in, and she sat in the audience, and she had her camera phone ready. And every time it looked as though someone was going to be naked, she would sit forward with her camera phone, sit back, sit forward, and come back. Anyway, at the end of the show, she went to the theatre management and complained because there had been no full frontal nudity.
No, she was expecting it. Okay, disappointed her with it because you weren't naked.
And the theatre management told her to leave. And so she then started a letter writing campaign, which culminated in her threatening to go to Trading Standards, which is a UK kind of, you know,
false advertising, because there was no
false advertising, because then she didn't see any bits. So I think my chest wasn't enough for her. She wanted to see some male nudity. So.
People can be so surprising. You know, you never know what they'll come up with.
It was quite a fun. I mean, we got to see all the exchange of letters, and it was quite fun.
Of course, that's great publicity, HB. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, the stage play or the web show was not just a recreation of the stage play, was it? It's kind of equal to that story.
Yeah, I mean, what happened was, after the Camden Fringe, so 3 nights at the Camden Fringe, and it's the pub theatre, so afterwards we'd be downstairs in the pub drinking, and people would be coming up and saying really nice things, but they kept saying, well, what happens next? What happens next? Because the ending of the play is a cliffhanger, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know which way the story's going to go. Is she going to stay with Paul? Is she going to go with Rob? Is she going to leave them both? What's she going to do? So they kept saying, well, what happens to these characters next? And I came away from that, and I actually, straight after the Camden Fringe play, I went to LA for about a month with Elisar. And while I was away, it was percolating in my head, well, what does happen to these characters? Where could they go? And I was getting more into web series, because Elisar at that time was doing those Video Guys, which was a web series review show. So I'd been watching, I'd started to watch more web series and started to get more interested in them. And obviously they were becoming more and more into the public consciousness. And I thought, well, this is a good opportunity, and to take these characters and to do more with them and to see what they can do. So I wrote the first couple of scripts on the plane, and they just seemed to come to life, and it seemed to sort of plan itself, really, and it seemed to take off, and I knew what I wanted to do with them. So the web series is a continuation of the story, but so that people who've watched it don't have to have seen the play, because most people who watch a web series won't have seen the play. We flash back to the play. So things that happen in the play are shown in flashback. We filmed it all in, you know, so it's filmed, it's not on stage, it's filmed as it would be. And we had the play's director, Paul, come in and direct those scenes. So you get, by the end of the first series, you know everything that happened in the play, pretty much.
Okay, because I had never seen the play, obviously, and we had watched the web series and the web show. And it was an interesting way to tell the story, because it was both what was happening then and retelling the story and bringing everybody up to speed over what happened a year ago, and kind of for the characters during that time. Let's talk about the characters a little bit.
Okay.
Because, they're really interesting. First, before we get into the individual characters, was there any of the 3 that were more difficult to write for than the others?
I don't know about more difficult. I'm always more careful when I'm writing Paul than I am Rob and Jenny, because because of the nature of Paul's story, the fact that he's, I mean, you know, it doesn't define him that he's a gay man, but his story is he's a gay man, and he's not out, and he's having trouble with accepting who he is. And that to me was so important that I needed to do that justice, because, I mean, to a great degree, because I have several friends in that position, or who have been in that position, who struggle to come out, and I always wanted that to be truthful, and I always wanted that to feel real, and not be, I never wanted it to be a stereotype. I never wanted him to be one way or the other. I didn't want to make him, you know, camp and flamboyant and all of that, and I didn't want to make him completely rejecting of himself either. I always want to find that middle ground, because, I mean, I have lots of gay friends that would cover all spectrums, and there's nothing wrong with a gay man who wants to be flamboyant and camp. There's nothing wrong with a gay man who wants to be in the closet either. But I'm also aware that in the portrayal of especially of gay men, I think in film and television has been, it's better now, but in the past it has been very much the kind of, I mean, in the UK you would say like Graham Norton, Alan Carr, who are great performers, but they are very camp, and I wanted to very much get away from that. So
he's just somebody who happens to be gay.
Sorry?
Paul's just a man who happens to be gay.
Precisely. He's a man. He's a guy. He's just a guy, the same as any other guy. He happens to be gay. You know, some men happen to be straight. It's not who defines him. But that story is really important to this. It's kind of the central. It's where the whole threesome came from. So with that, I've always found myself being more careful, because also it's something I don't have any personal experience of. I can't write that. Writers like to write from personal experience. Things that happen to Jenny, some of the things that have happened to her I can write from personal experience, and some from experience of female friends. Rob, you know, I can write some of him from personal experience or from other experiences, but with Paul I have no way of understanding what he's been through other than talking to people that I love and trust who've been in his situation, and trying to understand how they felt, and then trying to write that. So he's not the most difficult character by any stretch, in terms of, you know, none of them are difficult to a degree, but he's the one I take most care with, I think, because he has to be right.